Hello, everyone. You're welcome to another live session. So, guys, like we promised you all yesterday, that will be back today. We'll be looking deeply into the report, the address that has been submitted by the councils to Tinubu as regards to the petition before the court. So, there were so many things, that they stated in that report that do not even make sense, looking at it from the legal stance. So today we have Dr. Etel here, who is going to be diving deep into this report. He's going to be breaking it down to us and also to tell us why they do not matter. As in, just like he said yesterday, he said the address they submitted is just empty. So let him break it down for us to really understand why there are no weighty matters in them. So, Dr. Etel, over to you, please. The stage is yours.
Oh, good day, people, and I am glad to be here today. Can you hear me, please?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. So, let me start by saying that after reading their address again, I asked myself if I take this document and give it to children that are preparing for SSCE and bring the Electoral Act and the relevant sections of the Constitution and give them and say, please, could you read this thing and then check if what is in this document. This document is the marking scheme. You use this document to mark this person's essay. That someone has just written an essay, and here is the marking scheme. Something tells me that they're going to fail the author of that essay because the marking scheme, this way when you're writing WAEC or SSCE, and you come in there and you start writing what we call OP, out of points. You might write 3 pages, but because you didn't follow the guideline you're asked to follow, you won't get your mark. So what we have here is just somewhere we decided to clip from the whole thing they wrote, just to give us a little insight into their thoughts. And today we will be dealing more on the issue of IReV and upload. Today, that's what we're going to concentrate, because he took a lot of time trying to paint IReV and upload from the polling unit as if it is just do it if you feel like, it's just one of those beautiful things that INEC introduced just to make people feel like they can do something. But IReV and upload is not for the purpose, it's not like an icing on the cake. It is the main cake of the Electoral Act 2022. If you remove the electronic transmission that was introduced in the Electoral Act 2022, we fall back to Electoral Act 2010. So it is this new modification that actually gave us what we call the Electoral Act 2022. And I don't see how a lawyer that is worth his gown will come and say that the whole thing that the National Assembly sat and legislated, the president signed into law, and we voted as much as almost $1 billion is immaterial, it's useless, it's just an added spice. Let me read from what he wrote. I will start from the first line. It says, we submit with greatest respect to these petitioners that this position being advanced by them is not reflected under any law whatsoever. He is referring to Labour Party saying that upload to the IReV is important. And this person is saying that the position of Labour Party with respect to upload an IReV is not reflected under any law whatsoever. At this point, we respectfully invite this honorable court to the provision of Section 60, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act, which provides that the presiding officer shall transfer the results, including total number of accredited voters, and the result of the ballot in a manner prescribed by the Commission. A proper appreciation of the provision of Section 60 subsection 5 with respect to INEC's prerogative to prescribe the mode of transfer of result, we contextualize the several provisions of the manual and regulations. Now, listen, 3 documents has been mentioned here: the Electoral Act, INEC manuals, and INEC regulations. Now, INEC manuals and regulations, please. 2 documents. Before carrying out a consideration of the said provision, we must quickly indicate that the provisions of the regulations and guidelines on the one hand, and those of the manuals on the other hand, are largely similar. Hence, space will hinder us from reproducing both documents. Paragraph 19 of the regulation provides the procedure for accreditation, while paragraph 35 provides the procedure for sorting of votes after election. May we refer the court to the clear provision of paragraph 38 of the regulation and submit that the said provision do not support the contention of the petitioners. Whenever you hear petitioners, is referring to Peter Obi and Labour Party. Rather, it provides for multiple/hybrid procedure, whether manually or electronically. Good. That is the summary of their argument so far. Now, as I said earlier on, 3 documents has been mentioned here: the Electoral Act 2022, the manual and regulation for this election, and then the last one is the guideline. The guideline. Now, let me break it. There's a Supreme Court ruling in the case of the current governor of Kogi State. You remember that the current governor of Kogi State was not initially on the ballot. The man who was supposed to be on the ballot died just as the election was finishing. And the person who was his deputy, the deputy of the man who died, said that it should be his right to complete, that the party should now nominate a deputy governor for him. He took his party APC to court. Adeleke, I think, no, his name is not Adeleke, I've forgotten his name. So he took his own party to court. And the Supreme Court ruled that INEC has a right to continue according to their regulations, guideline and regulation, because the Electoral Act gave INEC the power to produce the guideline and the regulation they're supposed to use for the election. So this is the hierarchy of the law that guides our election. Number 1 is the Constitution that gave birth to everything we do in Nigeria, including INEC as a body and the Electoral Act that INEC will follow to do the election. Now, INEC and the body is and the Electoral Act is a product of the Constitution. The regulation and guideline is a product of the Electoral Act. So INEC, using their power as embedded in the Electoral Act, produced the regulation and the guideline. INEC further went on to produce the manual that they used to train the staff and explain to them everything they would do. We have all these documents and they are online. Now, this address is trying to say that the issue of upload and the importance of upload to the IReV is immaterial, and that Labour Party is fighting an empty fight. I am here this evening to draw our attention to relevant sections of the Electoral Act, to relevant sections of the manual, and the relevant sections of the guideline for us to see that he did a cherry picking of the ones he feels benefited them and left out the real meat of the matter. It is this meat of the matter that we want to use to debunk this verbose, flowery writing we saw here. Let us not be carried away. When people are writing OP out of point, they can write many words. So please, can you show me that slide that shows the manual, just for our audience to know that we know where these documents are. It is not something you must be a SAN. No, the manual, it's like the page, the first page, the manual, the one that says the manual. Keep going back. Good. So you can see, my people, that the manual that every polling officer, all the people that INEC hired, where they used to train them, that we have it. Of course, we have shown us excerpt from the Constitution Times Without Number, and the regulation too, we have them. And we don't have all the time, but now show me what's the one that has 38, that has number 38 on it. That is the, no, number 38. Keep going. No, 38, please. Keep going. Beautiful. Now, this is the section 38 of the regulation that he quoted here. Now, when he quoted the 38, let me read what he said about the 38. May we refer the court to the clear provision of paragraph 38 of the regulation and submit that the said provision do not support the contention of the petitioners, meaning the contention of the Labour Party. Rather, it provides for multiple hybrid procedure, meaning it's either you do this or you do that. But let us read that particular thing and see if what he's claiming there is the way the law presented it. Now, paragraph 38 of the regulation says, on completion of all the polling unit voting and the result procedure, the presiding officer shall. Now, let me take us back to the kind of cherry picking and manipulation of words that I found in this address. If you have had the privilege of going through this particular address, the writer of that address devoted almost 2 paragraphs to talk on the importance of the word shall. That when the National Assembly used the word shall during the legislation of the Electoral Act, that it means that it is a must. It must be done. In law, anybody knows that the word shall in law simply means must. And now we were told, I read from their address, that paragraph 38 of the regulation is something that is at the discretion of INEC, if they like. But their regulation stipulated, as I have read for us here, it says, on completion of all the polling unit voting and result procedures, the presiding officer shall, number 1, electronically transmit or transfer the result of the polling unit direct to the collation system as prescribed by the commission. We will see how the commission prescribed it and even the reason later on. Now, it says, I use the beavers. Use the beavers. Remember that it says shall and colon. Shall and colon, meaning everything I, and I is a must. There are 3 things he must do. Use the beavers to upload a scanned copy of the ECHA to the INEC result viewing portal, in brackets, called IReV, as prescribed by the commission. We will see how the commission prescribed it. And then it says, take the beavers and the original copy of each of the forms in a tamper-evident envelope to the registration area or ward collation officer in the company of security agents. The polling agent may, you see now it's not a must. The polling agent may accompany the presiding officer to the RA, that is registration area / ward collation center. We read from their report that this is optional. That is just an optional. But we can see from the regulation that it is a must. Now, Nigerians, I leave this for you people to decide. When you see in the regulation and see in the Electoral Act the word shall, it is a must. And here we have seen it that it is a must. But APC and their candidate is telling the court with a lot of ballooned English that it is hybrid, that it is optional. It is left for you people to decide which one. Now, give me the one that has number 48 from the same regulation. We are quoting from the same regulation. Good. It says there, 48A says, an election result shall only be collated, meaning when you are now at the word collation area. It says an election result shall, meaning must only be collated if the collation officer ascertains, another word for ascertains means confirms, that the number of accredited voters agrees with the number recorded in the beavers and votes scored by political parties on the result sheet is correct, and agrees with the result, underline, agrees with the result electronically transmitted or transferred. Now, there was a time they asked the former Senate president, what is the difference between transmitted and transfer? He says that he doesn't know. But all that he knows is that when they made the law, it means that that equipment that INEC is using, that they must use it to snap something and send. That if you call it transmission, good for you. If you call it transfer, good for you. But it is electronic movement of document from one end to another end. If I send you a picture from my phone, you may call it that I transferred the picture from my phone to your phone. You may call it that I transmitted it from your phone, from my phone to your phone, but it is electronic. Now, it says here, I will read 48A again. It says, an election result shall only be collated, meaning when you have finished at the polling unit and get at the ward area, the ward collation officer must follow this step. Only way he can say, I have done collation is if he does what? If the collation officer ascertains that the number of accredited voters agrees with the number recorded in the beavers and votes scored by political parties on the result sheet is correct, and agrees, you see the second agree, and agrees with the result electronically transmitted or transferred directly from the polling unit. So any form of electronic maneuvering of the EC8A must be done at the polling unit as prescribed in this regulation and guideline. As prescribed in this regulation and guideline. B says, if a collation or returning officer determines that a result from a lower level of collation is not correct, meaning if, for instance, at the ward, if he determines that the result from the polling unit is not correct, he or she shall use the result what? Electronically transmitted or transferred directly from that lower level to collate, meaning the only one that is more dependable is the one that was transmitted before coming to that place. Meaning, if you have a challenge with the result that you have here, you have to refer to that one that was transmitted before everybody at the polling unit. That is, it says shall. I know that in this space, there was a day we did a program showing what I call the presidential election protocol. If you want to, if you did not watch that video clip, please go and search for it, because one of the main things we discussed that day, why IReV is central to the integrity of the result, why IReV is central to the what is called chain of custody of the result, is that when there is a dispute, it is found in section 64, subsection 6, A, B, C, D of the Electoral Act. It says the presiding of the collation officer shall follow these steps to resolve any dispute. He must first of all have the physical result that is under contention. He must have the physical equipment, being the beavers. He must have the beavers record that has already been electronically transmitted, and he must have the result that is already on the IReV. We have done it here, meaning the only way the collation officer can fulfill the provision of the regulation 44A is that he must have 4 items: the physical result, the beavers physical equipment, the beavers that has result that has been uploaded for accreditation, and the same result that has been uploaded. Do you know the reason? The reason is, show me the other slide show me the other slide. Okay, yes, that's good. Now, this is page 36 of the manual. And from this place today, we are going to see both the intention and the purpose of IReV. Nigerians, please. Nigerians, I am begging us to listen. And the judges, please, I am also begging us to remember this page when you are taking decision. Because in any law written in anywhere in the world, there is always the letter of the law and the spirit of the law, what is called the intent of the formulator of the law, meaning what they have in their hearts, the purpose why they made the law. And in this page 36, you will see it. I will read it to our hearing. Just give me a second. It says here, okay, it says point 2.9.0, it says electronic transmission stroke upload. You see, another word for transmission here is upload. Just like the other word for transmission is transfer. Electronic transmission / upload of election results and publishing to the INEC result viewing portal known as IReV. It says, listen to the underlying reason why this law was made. One of the problems noticed in the electoral process is the irregularities that take place between the polling units after the announcement of results and the point of collation. Sometimes results are hijacked, exchanged, or even destroyed at the polling unit or on the way to the collation center. Have you people seen it? That if there had been an upload from the polling unit, if the result is hijacked between the polling unit and the collation center, if the result is rewritten, if the result is manipulated, when it gets to the collation center, those party that feels that the result has been manipulated can raise objection. And Section 64 of the Electoral Act, subsection 6A, B, C, and D, says that the only way the collation officer who is not at the polling unit can know which one is the truth is to pick that one that is under contention, which someone is saying has been manipulated, and use it to compare with the one that has been uploaded. And if it checks out, then the collation officer will say, what are you complaining about? What is online is what I have here. But if he didn't check out, then paragraph 48 of the regulations, 48B says that the one he would depend on is the one that is on the IReV. He would discard the physical one. Is that not what we read today?
Yes.
So when Labour Party said that 18,088 result is blank, they are trying to say the only result that we can rely on to determine which is the correct result is missing. And APC is saying it does not matter. It does not matter. That what matters is the physical result, which they may have rewritten on the way. Because APC being the political party in power, they control the police. And we have seen during the election that even police came to help to snatch ballot papers. Didn't you see it? So the Electoral Act is trying to say, in order to safeguard Nigerians from the manipulation of the political party in power and their police, whom they are paying, the orderlies and co, first of all, upload it so that when we get to the collation center, if anything has happened on the way, we can use that one that has been uploaded. And he says, please go back to that 48 again. Let's read that 48 again and come back so that people will understand what I'm trying to say now. The 48. It says again, an election result shall only be collated if the collation officer ascertains that the number of accredited voters agree with the number recorded in the beavers and votes scored by political parties on the result sheet is correct and agrees with the result electronically. So the physical one must agree with the electronic one. Electronically transmitted or transferred directly from the polling unit as presented in this regulation and guidelines. Remember, it is the guideline that we are reading before we came back here. B says, if a collation or returning officer determines that a result from a lower level of collation is not correct, he or she shall use the result electronically transmitted or transferred directly from the lower level to collate and announce the result. So which one is the more dependable now? Is it the physical copy that people are complaining about or the IReV copy? This thing is trying to say the IReV copy is the most reliable one. The IReV copy is the most reliable one. Now, if no result has been directly transmitted electronically for a polling unit or any level of collation, the provision of clause 93 of this regulation shall be applied. We will come back to that provision of clause 93 for you to see what it means, because it's a very simple thing. Now, give me that regulation where we are reading before. Now, it says, it says there, no, the regulation where I was reading explaining the intent of those who made the law. The one that has page 36, the one that has green and white. Keep going, keep going. Yes. Now, let's read it again. One of the problems noticed in the electoral process is the irregularities that take place between the polling units after the announcement of results and the point of result collation. Sometimes results are hijacked, results are exchanged, or even destroyed at the PU, or on the way to the collation center. It says it becomes necessary to apply technology. Did you people hear it? It becomes necessary to apply technology to transmit the data from the polling units such that the results are collated up to the point of result declaration. Paragraph B, the real-time publishing of polling unit level result on IReV portal and transmission of results using the beavers demonstrates INEC's commitment to transparency in result management. This commitment is backed by section 47, subsection 2. We have dealt with section 47, subsection 2 here of the Electoral Act that talks about collation. Section 60, subsection 1, 2, and 5 that deals with the process of voting and counting of votes and the recording of votes and uploading of the votes. Section 64, subsection 4, we have dealt with it here too, of the Electoral Act, which confers INEC with the power to transmit election results electronically. Come on. Come on. It says the purpose is to avoid the manipulation that happens from pulling units to the word collation center. That's the purpose. That's the purpose. And we can see it here. Now, give me the other slide, the one that carries something like Beaver's pictures. The picture, the one that carries something like Beaver's pictures. To the extent that INEC taught all the polling unit officers how to use the Beavers. Do you know that they are telling us that the result is blood? APC wrote in their address, oh, it must be lack of ink. It must be as if the Beavers is a printing machine. But even you know when you want to use your phone to snap a document, if you snap it and it is not correct, do you press send?
No.
It is what you snap that you send. And you can see it here, that what they send, the sample they show them, it says, showing correct captured from EC8A. INEC did all these things. And do you even know that the Beavers specifically mentioned in this same manual we are reading here, that because 3 elections will be held on the same presidential, after the election, you could snap all 3 of them and press upload all, and it will automatically upload them, each one entering House of Rep, Senate, and presidential. But they blocked the one of the presidential. INEC blocked the one of the presidential and said it was a glitch. By virtue of that statement, it tells you that if there was a glitch, the one of Senate couldn't have gone. The one of House of Rep could not have gone. So, as we are here now, I would like to ask if there's any question from the audience or from you with respect to this issue of IReV. Let us trash it once and for all so that we can move on to another thing. Because the next thing we're going to be doing will be I am looking at the clause 93 here. I made mention of clause 93. Go back to that 48 again, and I'll show us something. Yes, it says here, 48C says, if no result has been directly transmitted electronically for a polling unit or any level of collation, the provision of clause 93 of this regulation shall be applied. Now, I am going to, because I didn't send you that particular one, I just noticed that I didn't send it to you, but I will read it off my applied device here. It says, when the INEC hard copy of collated result from the immediate lower level of collation does not exist, the collation officer shall use electronically transmitted result or result from the IReV portal to continue collation. People, go to the regulation 93. I have it here. I'm sorry I didn't send it to you. It's trying to give us, you can see that the IReV copy is like the I got your back kind of method that INEC have here. INEC is trying to say if everything fails, because we have it on IReV, I got your back. There is nothing to worry about. And Labour Party brought to the courts 18,088 polling units where it is either mutilated or blank. And APC is trying to tell us that, oh no, it's just one of those cosmetics that INEC brought. That the most important thing is that paper document. If it is that paper document, how is it different from the election of 2019? How is it different from 2015, 2007, 2003, and 1999? What is the change? Now, why I'm asking this question, I'm not asking you Nigerians this question, I'm asking the judges this question when they are reasoning. What is it that changed in Electoral Act 2023 other than what INEC APC is saying does not matter? Remember the other day we had a program when the Deputy Director of ICT I wish that video were to be around and we play it again. When the deputy director of ICT was in Channels Television explaining the importance of IReV and why it is central in the whole scheme of things that INEC is doing. So we have done 35 minutes plus, and I want to end it here to see if there's anybody that want to, because this issue of IReV, and does not matter. I think, in those days when we were in primary school, we used to go for debate and say, I think I've, how do we put it again? I've been able to convince and not confuse you. If at this my little corner, I can see this, you can imagine what lie these people are trying to tell us. But it is obvious and you have seen it, my people. Please, let us not get carried away with this empty address written here. There is nothing in it. We're going to come back tomorrow to continue digging into this address, the issue of 25% again. We're going to match what they say and match what the law is saying. The issue of double nomination, we're going to match what they say and match what the law is saying. And hopefully by Tuesday or Wednesday, we will get the address of INEC and we continue from there. But I hope that by tomorrow, we should be able to tie up dissipating everything that is in this address. And then we pick that of INEC if they have their own. And maybe as that one is finishing, Labour Party would have given them what we're waiting for. And we can now analyze that one and see how strong it is to make the case for Labour Party and Peter Obi. And that is it for now.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Etel. So, viewers, you all have seen it from the Electoral Act that the beavers is very important. No matter how they try to, downplay it, they can't, because we have evidence, and the Electoral Act is there to also make it clear that the IReV is very, very important. So, like we said yesterday, they are just trying to make our journey even more easier. Peter Obi becoming the president of Nigeria is very close. So, Dr. Etel, before I let you go, there was this tweet that I saw on Twitter. Please, if you can just comment a little bit on this, I think that would be nice. So you can see what is stated there: removing me as president over failure to secure 25% in Abuja may trigger anarchy in Nigeria. So he's warning the tribunal. So I'll just throw a little light on this, because for me, I felt, okay, now they've admitted that Abuja scoring 25% is important. But he's now saying removing me may bring a very big problem in Nigeria. So is he trying to say that we should just ignore what the Constitution said, or we should ignore the Electoral Act and just allow him, for the fact that he's already in Aso Rock? So just throw more light on this, please.
Number one, well, I don't know the platform where he said this, when he said it, but assuming it is true, hypothetically, let us say that indeed he said it. If that be the case, has he forgotten that the reason why he became president was because INEC gave him certificate of return, and INEC did it, and nobody could challenge it because the law stipulates that the moment the certificate of return is issued, only the courts can recall you. Why are they always cherry picking on the laws to obey? If you ascended because the law says the moment you have this document, only the court can stop you, why are you not planning to descend if the same law says if you don't get 25%, you should descend?
Wow, that's a strong argument.
That's number one. Number two is, if someone is saying, is it because of just 25%? After all, I got 18 point something percent. Because the lawyer actually said this thing tacitly when the lawyer says it's only about 6 point something percent that is left. Which means they are trying to say you can tamper with the rules as long as we're involved. When it comes to where it benefits us, you stick to the rule, like collecting the certificate of return and getting sworn in. But where it will not benefit them, you can lower the standard so that they will still be benefited. I want to believe that if indeed this statement were to be true or is true, it means that indeed they know that without 25%, you can't
Very
scale through.
important. Mhm.
And I don't think Nigerians are anarchy driven people, because if Nigerians are anarchy driven people, by now Nigeria would have burnt. Especially the followers, the obedient are people who are law abiding, law focused, law conscious. Look at here. What are we doing? We are delving into the law that is guiding us. We are explaining it. We are not cursing anybody. We are just trying to say, if the law say this, then we should expect this. I know that there was a time when someone did not win presidency in Nigeria and Nigeria was burning. But you can see that our principal says, no, this is not my part. I believe in the judiciary and I'll go there to press. He did it in 2003. He waited for 3 years. They gave him his mandate after 3 years. But this one, so I don't know. But let's just leave it that way, you know?
Yeah, thank you very much. Actually, Peter Obi has always been a law-abiding citizen, just like you mentioned it. During his governorship time, he waited until he was given back his mandate. But this kind of statement that there will be anarchy in Nigeria, I don't really think we are expecting anything like this from
It
a
is it is
sitting
actually it
president.
is actually when people are pushed to the wall. I used to say, who will even create that anarchy? There are 10 people that went to the pool, 33%, which is one third, supported you, and 66% did not support you. This 66% has been quiet, waiting for the law to prevail. And you're saying that if the judgment goes in favor of this 66%, that there will be anarchy. From which people? From the 33%. Because according to the tally of the vote, it's only about one third of those who cast their vote, according to the declared result by INEC, that voted for the party that won. So about two-thirds are calm, waiting for justice to prevail. And you're saying that if the judgment goes in their favor, that there is going to be anarchy from the one-third? Huh. Wow. Wow. Okay. What
Yeah,
can I
so we'll
say?
be ending today's session right away. Thank you all, guys, for joining us. We hope to see you tomorrow. We'll be here again with Dr. Etel to keep digging deep into this address that they've submitted. Like you've seen that there's nothing tangible in it. We are going to prove them in the court. So thank you all for joining. See you again tomorrow. Dr. Etel, thank you for your time. Good
Thank
night.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you.